Why do I think the carnivore diet finally helped me stop binge eating?
You need to eat more meat.
Have you ever heard of the carnivore diet?
Just meat.
To only eat meat.
Hi, I'm Jen. If you're new here, I am delighted to meet you. And today we're going to talk about a long time of binge eating and how the carnivore diet helped and why that is. So I've shared in a previous video that I was a binge eater for over 20 years. It was a big problem in my life and messing up my relationships, my goals, my life. It was really bad. And I know that anyone else who suffers with binge eating knows just how bad it is and how hard it is to stop, how shameful it is, and how frustrating it is when people who don't understand say, well, just don't do that. When I say I'm not gonna eat candy, I just don't eat candy. It's just not that easy, and today we're gonna talk about why. So I think there are 4 main reasons why the carnivore diet heals binge eating. I know so many people who used to be binge eaters and no longer are because of the carnivore diet, and I am one of them. First reason is that when you're eating only protein and fat, you have very few significant spikes in glucose and insulin. When you're eating carbs and candy and sugar and all that, you have a crazy high glucose spike followed by a crazy high insulin spike and then a glucose low, and then you crave more sweets, and then your glucose goes up and your insulin goes up and then your glucose goes down, and it's just this roller coaster like this all day based on when you eat your carbs. On a carnivore diet, you just don't have that anymore. Your blood sugar and your insulin stays very stable, so you no longer have significant urges driven by that glucose and insulin spike. The second reason that the carnivore diet helps is because it improves your gut microbiome. So the bacteria or the bugs that live in your gut to help you digest your food are different when you're on a carb-heavy, sugar-heavy diet than they are when you're on a carnivore diet. The crazy thing is the bugs in your gut when you eat sugar and carbs, they live off sugar and carbs, and so they want sugar and carbs so they can survive. And I promise you, they hack you when you're no longer eating those foods or you're not eating enough of them to keep them thriving. So these microbes, they actually generate cravings for carb and sugar because that's what they want, and they release toxins that affect your mood if you don't ingest them. They also change receptors in your body, including taste receptors, to make your healthy food, like meat for example, not taste as good, and make sugary foods taste better than ever. And they hijack your vagus nerve, which is the main line of communication between your gut and your brain. So for all these reasons, these microbes in your gut, they literally brainwash you. They hijack your body, your brain, everything to make you want to eat sugar and carbs. When you go carnivore and those microbes finally die, they're replaced with a different set of microbes that no longer want to feed off sugar and carbs and yeast and all that. So you just don't have those cravings anymore created from your gut. The third reason the carnivore diet helps is because you'll no longer have such food-related spikes in dopamine. Dopamine is a chemical in your brain that makes you feel really, really happy. So when you eat sugar, your brain actually produces huge surges of dopamine, similar to when you take heroin or cocaine. Over time, you become less and less sensitive to that dopamine reaction, so you crave more and more and more, and it takes more to achieve that previous level of excitement and happiness. And when you don't get it, you actually have withdrawals. Now, the fourth and final reason that the carnivore diet helps to overcome binge eating is because it finally breaks this cycle between urges and binges. I learned about this from a really good book called Brain Over Binge by Katherine Hansen. Now, one day I may be able to go deeper about this book in another video, but suffice it to say for now that what happens is you have an urge to binge, and then you binge, and it creates a deeply rooted habit that's really hard to break. And it's almost impossible, I think, if you haven't addressed those first 3 things I already mentioned: the glucose and insulin issue, the dopamine issue, and the gut microbiome issue. Once those are healed, then you can really recognize an urge for what it is and you can ignore it, and then you're creating a new habit that isn't going from an urge to a binge, but going from an urge to no response. So if you're struggling to stop binging and you don't understand why, no, it's not all your fault. Your body is hurting you. based on decisions that you're making though. So you do have some responsibility here, and there are things that you can try to overcome this, and I'm telling you that the carnivore diet is one of those things. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe, share it with anyone you think it might help, and I'd love to connect with you on Instagram. You can find me Delighted to Meet You, and I'm active on there every day.